Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lauren and welcome to Plants and Teens. Today we are talking about some nasty little pests. Pests that just kind of kill the joy of houseplants sometimes. So if that's something that you're already having a problem with or that you're worried about having a problem with, stay tuned for this video. Before we get started, I just wanted to take a minute to, of course, thank my subscribers. I really appreciate it. Any new subscribers, any people that are already subscribed and keep coming back to my videos, I really appreciate it. If you're not already subscribed, but you like the videos you see, consider subscribing. It's free, but it helps the people that might be interested in this content to see it as well. So like the button. Like the video if you like it and subscribe to my channel. So let's get into this pest info. So for the format of this video, I'm gonna first start by just going over what the common pests are, and if I have any experience with them personally, of course I'll throw my 2 cents in, my little tips and tricks. And then also I will go over some of the causes, because a lot of the causes are kind of similar for different pests, and then at the end I'll go through how to treat them. And I chose to do it in that format because a lot of the treatments or the products used to treat these pests are the same for a lot of the pests. A lot of them can be treated with the same products. So in order to prevent being redundant, I figure just say what they are and what the products are, how it could be treated. So first off, for me, which has been one of the most common, is spider mites. And if you see my other videos, it's mainly my alocasias that have issues with spider mites, and I had them before, treated them, and they were gone for a pretty good while until recently they just reappeared. So I'll insert my own personal picture/video of what spider mites look like. And so spider mites will often, you'll notice them once you see the webbing around your plants. Like then you know you got spider mites. And interestingly, so some of this information, of course, is from my own experience, but then also I found a really good resource online from the university. If you see me looking down, it's because I have my notes on my iPad. But it's from the University of Minnesota. This entomologist, I believe he is, let me look it up again, is written by a entomologist, yes. And that's someone who studies insects. So I feel like this was pretty reputable source, and a lot of things that were mentioned and explained in this video aligned with my experience with the things that I use and what I found worked. So I feel like it was a good source. So that's where this information is coming from. In case you're wondering, I will put the link in the description as well. So interestingly, this entomologist describes spider mites to be like a brownish color, green or brownish color. And I thought that mine were kind of like a grayish, slivery white color, but nonetheless, there was the webbing, so I knew it was spider mites. And you'll see from my video that I hopefully have on the screen what they look like. And then next is gonna be the all-time favorite, fungus gnats. And do I need to explain what those look like? Like, I think we know. They're really annoying. Those brown flies that, yeah. I don't even need to say anything else about it. Anyways, mealybugs. Mealybugs are these little nasty little powdery white things that have little, my skin has been crawling as I've been doing the research. I've been doing the research for this video like over the past couple of days, and every time I get into it, I start to itch and my skin has been crawling. So I'm sorry if while you're watching this, your skin starts to crawl. I'm gonna try not to put disgusting pictures and videos, but yeah, anyways, mealybugs are these nasty little white powdery things. And they're mostly found by they call it the stem joint, which I believe is where the leaf or the flower meets the stem or petiole, which is where a lot of these pests are found actually. The next is scale. Scale is probably the one that I'm scared of the most, because scale is these brown little oval things, but they get this hard shell over it, and like no insecticide, killer soap, anything can kill it. Like you have to scrape them off. Did you? God, okay. I'm scared of scale. Here's a picture. The next is thrips. Thrips is pretty like super common. I hear people always saying that they have thrips. So hopefully I don't have that experience. But they're these tiny little, they look like almost like little caterpillar, centipede, worm things. Tan. They can be a tan to brown color because they're like a little long bodied. But as adults, they can fly. So that's thrips. And white fly, which is how it suggests, it's white, a white little fly. And when they're disturbed, they fly up, like, because they like to sit around the soil. My eye is itching. I'm sorry if I'm gonna be scratching and itching this whole video, but it's in my head. Like, anyways, aphids. Aphids, hi mama. Aphids, the color can vary. Typically they're green or tan. And there wasn't that much information on aphids. I don't know if it's because it's not that common. Let me check again. Yeah, there wasn't really that much information. Just that they're clearly visible. They have clearly visible legs and antennas. And they're pear-shaped. Anyways, I probably put a picture or video or something of what your plant might look like if it has aphids. Springtails. Springtails was the most disgusting one to me. Springtails can be anywhere from a gray to a white or like a grayish brown color. And they're also disrespectfully disgusting. And they like decaying foliage or roots. So yeah. So the main cause of all of these disgusting little things are like usually an imbalance or something being on one extreme or the other. Either overly moist, like you're overwatering, or the water is sitting and there's too much moisture either in the soil or the air, or the humidity is too high, or the other end where it's extremely dry and you have a lot of dead leaves, dead foliage, things sitting around the soil. Either of those extremes will attract these pests. So I know it's hard for me to stay on top of our plants sometimes, even once we start to have like several plants, it could be a lot to manage them, but managing them the best we can is the best we can do to prevent having to deal with these. And then sometimes, unfortunately, we might bring a plant in that already has these things. So you always want to quarantine your plants. I know I'm not good at that either. When you get a plant, you're like so excited, you just want to see it, with the rest of your plants and everything. But if you can try to quarantine your plant when you first get it, that would be the best thing to do, just to allow, just to prevent, I should say, it from you getting an infestation with any of your other plants. Some people, as soon as they get a new plant, especially depending on where they get it from, they'll do like a preventative insecticide type treatment. So that's up to you too. You can do that as well. You don't have to necessarily worry about quarantining your plant. But there's ways we can, even though we may do all the things we can to prevent it, sometimes it still just happens. Another cause for pests in houseplants is because the plants are inside our home, which means there are no predator insects to control the population of these types of insects. So another option before I get into the types of products are beneficial insects. I don't have any experience with this just yet, but I am interested in trying it depending on what is the range of these beneficial insects? Like how far do they go in your house? Some people use ladybugs, which I don't mind ladybugs, but then other people use like these other types of actual insects, and I have to do more research into that. If that's something you're interested in, let me know in the comments below. I can do a deep dive on it and give you the cliff notes. All right, so to get into the actual treatment of pests, I'm going to go through them in order of severity, starting with, if you just have a small localized problem to full-on infestation, because basically the products that you would use to treat most of these pests are the same. You could use one product to treat multiple pests, but your method might be a little different depending on how big your problem is. So if you find that you have one plant that has a small problem, it can be as easy as just cleaning the plant, getting a wet paper towel and just wiping off whatever insect it is that you're seeing on the plant. Or you can also cut the area of the plant that you see is being affected by a pest. The next level up is if you're seeing an issue, but it's not on full-blown infestation and you don't want to necessarily introduce chemicals into your home just yet, you can use neem oil. I don't have any personal experience using neem oil. I would just say that if you're going to use neem oil, you want to pay attention to the concentration that you're going to use, because there's a lot of products that say neem oil based or made with neem oil. And then you look at it and the neem oil, like concentration of neem oil in it is like not enough to actually be effective. So either you want to make your own neem oil spray or just really pay attention to the neem oil product you're using. The thing with neem oil though is that it's not an insecticide. It's not actually going to kill the insects. It works by smothering the insects, and that can slow the growth pattern or the progress of the growth of them, but it's not actually going to kill them. So like I said, if you have a small problem, it's definitely going to be helpful. But if you have a big problem, you might want to pull out the big boys. I can't really tell you how to use neem oil because I haven't done it myself, but what I've seen other people do and what I have read that other people do is they'll make a spray with it, which is like water mixed with neem oil, and they'll use that to clean the leaves or the plant to help kill the insects. This is something that may require repeated applications, being that it's not actually an insecticide. So you may need to do it several times every few days. If you have a larger problem that's leaning towards the side of infestation, you might want to get something a little stronger. So two options are going to be a spray or a soap. And the spray, the active ingredient you want to look for in a insecticide is pyrethrins. And that type of spray is actually going to kill the insects. So an example is this spray here, the Home Garden, I believe it's called, Garden Safe is called, and this is great. I've used this for spider mites, and interestingly, it doesn't necessarily list spider mites. It lists mites, but not spider mites, but I did find that it was effective for spider mites. And the thing with this is that this, to me, is too harsh to put on the actual leaves. I sprayed it in the soil, not the leaves. And that's where your insecticidal soap will come into play. The active ingredient in insecticidal soap is gonna be potassium fatty acids. So that is gonna act as a smothering agent, and it will help to actually kill the insects. And it's gonna be okay to use on the actual foliage of your plants. I personally, when I had spider mites, I used Dawn dish soap mixed with water, and I cleaned the leaves that way. Now, some people, I have mixed reviews about this. Some people felt that it damaged their leaves, which I can completely understand. And then others, like myself, I had no issues with it at all. Although I did use it on the alocasia, and it could depend on the plant's leaves. If the plant's leaves is a little thinner, a little more delicate, Dawn dish soap is probably too harsh for it. And you would want to use an actual houseplant insecticidal soap, which is going to be something that is potassium fatty acid based. So those two options, whether it's the spray or the insecticidal soap, will take care of pretty much all of your pest issues, whether it's going to be mealybugs, thrips, or the spider mites. Between those two, you will be covered. Pretty much. The only thing that those are not going to cover is fungus gnats. And that's where your mosquito bits are going to come into play. And that's because the active ingredient, let me pull out my notes, in mosquito bits is Bacillus thuringiensis. So according to this same article that I was mentioning, it is a bacteria that's going to attack the fungus gnat larvae, the little babies, the little nasty babies that crawl around in the soil and make adult fungus gnats that irritate our soul. So for that, let me show you. They look like this. You've probably seen it in my videos before. Is there like, oh, you can see a little opening, these little tan little bits there. This you would soak in water and then water the plant with it. That's how this works. There are others. It doesn't matter which brand you use. You just want it to have that active ingredient, Bacillus thuringiensis. For the adult fungus gnats, that's where your sticky tapes will come into play. And they're just little, actually I have some, let me go get it. So the sticky tapes come in a little package like this. I got this on Amazon, of course. And you would just peel off the cover and stick it in your plant, and you'll see all the little nasty little fungus gnats coming up on there. But that's the adults. So you cannot really just use this by itself. You want to use it with something that's going to take care of the larva. Otherwise, you're just always going to only be catching the adults, and you'll never stop the production of the adults. And the last option for pest control is going to be a systemic pest control. And similar to the way the mosquito bits work, is going to be either a particle that you soak in water or mix in your soil, or it can come in a liquid. But either way, the point of the systemic is that it works long term. So that's something that I'm definitely going to be incorporating when I see an issue pop up. And like the previous insecticidal soap and spray that I mentioned, it does work across the board for mealybugs, thrips, aphids, all of that good stuff. So if you're looking for an actual product to purchase, you can look up the brand Bonide. I'll put it on the screen there. They have pretty much a whole entire lineup of each of these products here. Also, the Garden Safe as well. They have a lineup of each type of insecticide as well. So it's pretty, it's nice that you can just stick with one brand and you'll be able to get a nice little lineup of arsenal. I would say if you're a beginner starting out and you don't want to buy a whole bunch of things, I think having one decent insecticidal spray is good, and then something for fungus gnats, because that's just inevitable. And honestly, that's the only two things that I've been needing. If you need to treat something right this minute and you don't have time, or you're not able to go to the store just yet to get those things, I would say to use some hydrogen peroxide in water. I do this when I'm lazy and I need to treat fungus gnats and I don't feel like mixing up mosquito bits and soaking them for 15 minutes and then pouring. I just mix a half a cup of hydrogen peroxide with a half a cup of water when my plant is ready to be watered, and I water it with that. The hydrogen peroxide will help to kill the larvae in the soil. Of course, it's not an insecticide. It just probably slows the growth like neem oil. But in the meantime, until I feel like pulling out the mosquito bits, it does help. So that's it, guys. That is all of my information about how to treat pests with houseplants. And, you know, I hope that you guys don't have to experience any infestations. Thank goodness so far I have not experienced any infestations, just small problems here and there. But it does happen, and don't feel bad if it's happened to you. I hope this information has helped you to deal with it if you find it to be an issue. If you like this video, please press the like button. Comment below, let me know if there are some tips that you guys use that you found worked for you that I didn't mention, or if there was something that I mentioned that you never heard of before. Comment below. I'd like to hear your thoughts about it. So thank you for watching, and have a good night.